Hey everybody, how's it going? Brett Mix here from my new channel on YouTube, Macho Wrestling 101. We dish out videos every day, so if you like our stuff, hit like and subscribe. Today we're coming at you with a serious matter. I consider it serious, these videos. I wanted to look at all of the wrestlers who have paved their way and given us so much entertainment over the years. I wanted to look at their life, some keynotes from their lives and their death, and talk about the great memories we've had with them. So I did one last week on Lanny Poffo, and this week I'm doing Curt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. I'll do a different wrestler each week. So let's get to it. Curt Hennig was born in 1958, and he began his career as a second generation wrestler as his dad was Larry the Axe Hennig, and he was also the father of soon to be WWE wrestler Curtis Axel. He had four kids and a wife. He wrestled all over from the AWA to the WWF, the WWE, WCW, and NWA TNA just a year before his death. Hennig debuted in 1980 in the ring in Pacific Northwest Wrestling Association, but he gained fame in the AWA when he had a 2-year feud with Nick Bockwinkel over the AWA World title. Curt also was famous for his matches with Jerry Lawler in the late 80s. Before coming to the WWF, there was a wondering of who they were going to give the Mr. Perfect gimmick to. It was either Curt Hennig or Terry Taylor. Terry Taylor was the Red Rooster, so I think they made a good selection. Taylor was a good worker, but Mr. Perfect was the perfect choice, pun intended, to be him because Curt Hennig was just great at everything. And Terry Taylor was a great worker, but the Red Rooster gimmick just was awful. Really awful, even for its time. So they picked the right guy, Curt Hennig. He gave great promos. He was crisp in the ring. Bret Hart called it a night off whenever he faced him. And another thing about Curt Hennig is you hear so many great things about him from so many great people. Hall of Famer Wade Boggs in his Hall of Fame induction in 2006. Curt Hennig went in the Hall of Fame in '06. Wade Boggs said that he saved his life. Wade Boggs was caught up on a fence and he was bleeding profusely. Curt Hennig grabbed him and held him on his shoulders and got him up to safety, saved his life. And Wade Boggs broke down on the stage when he told us this story at the Hall of Fame. Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart really took the loss of Mr. Perfect hard. He called it close to his brother Owen, losing that's how much of an impact it had on Bret. Randy Savage actually came up with a song called My Perfect Friend you can listen to on YouTube. And that's the opinions of Bret Hart and Randy Savage. I think those guys have such integrity. So I listen to whoever they say is a good person. And I put that up here. So Mr. Perfect had to be a great person. And it's easy to believe because he was so great at his job. Um, Unfortunately, on February the 10th, 2003, a year after his WWE comeback, and his WWE comeback was underrated. It was something I loved because I was younger when Mr. Perfect was in the WWF the first time. So when he came back, he had some great matches with Edge in the Royal Rumble, but him and Lesnar got into a beef on an airplane from the plane ride from hell. You can learn more about that on Dark Side of the Ring or just the internet. Just Google it. I'm not going to go into it. But unfortunately, on February the 10th, 2003, Hennig was found dead in a Brandon, Florida hotel room at the age of just 44, 6 weeks away from his 45th birthday. The Hillsborough County Medical Examiner's Office declared acute cocaine intoxication to be the cause of death, even though his dad said that steroids and painkillers also contributed to his death. He had so many classic matches versus the likes of Jerry Lawler, the Big Boss Man, Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Tito Santana, the Blue Blazer, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, and of course Nick Bockwinkel. His 5 best matches, in my opinion, were 2 versus Bret and 3 versus Nick Bockwinkel. The one from AWA Super Clash 2 is on the Spectacular Legacy of the AWA set. His match with Nick Bockwinkel that went around 45 minutes from the brawl at St. Paul, and his 1-hour classic versus Nick Bockwinkel at an AWA Wrestling Championship show from November the 15th, 1986, is probably his greatest match ever. He had a classic versus Jerry Lawler in the late '80s as well for the AWA title. And him and Bret had an underrated match from Bret Hart's second DVD set, the the Dungeon Collection. But that's not the two that I'm talking about. The two I'm talking about from Bret, I wanted to give that one a shout out. But the two I'm talking about with Bret are, of course, his classics at SummerSlam '91 and from MSG, and King of the Ring '93 from Dayton, Ohio. Just Bret and Hennig both had perfect promos before the match. I'm saying perfect now. They talked about whose dad was better than whose dad, and they followed it up with a semifinal classic. Bret Hart wrestled 3 matches that night, all of them different, all of them classics, but none better than the one versus Mr. Perfect. And that was probably the best match of 1993. And 1993 had some bangers. So when looking at his life, he'll be really missed, especially from us fans. He rightfully went into the Hall of Fame early, and it's such a shame how it ended because he's a guy that everybody would have loved to be around, and he had so much more to give the world. So, our memories on this channel will send our memories to Mr. Perfect. We want to thank him for everything he did for us wrestling fans. And I'll see you on the next in memory of. I'll do one of these each week. This is Macho Wrestling 101. So rest in peace, Curt.